Hey, Keith.
Cameron, how you doing?
Dude, long time no see.
It's been a few months.
Uh, yeah, man. I mean, one, thanks for making it happen because
Yeah,
I know,
likewise.
I know it's been busy for you. I know you got a bunch of stuff going on. I got a bunch of crazy going on, and I think for both of us, oddly, the work part of the crazy is
The least
maybe the more
crazy. Yeah.
minimal part. I mean, it is crazy, but like we both got life stuff going on. But yeah, man, thanks. I appreciate you on a weekend pulling it together and that we're doing it.
Yeah.
So
Thanks
welcome
for coming
back.
out. Thanks, man. Yeah. Dude, life happens. It is what it is. It's just at some point, a day becomes a week, becomes like a quarter.
Yeah,
And
I
it's been a
think you
few
nailed it.
months, but, you know, I don't know. Everything in its own kind of divine time, as it were. But yeah, I appreciate you coming back out and hanging out too, because these are fun. These are fun to do. So,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's odd. Like I think while you and I were both dealing with other stuff, I've seen people that have listened to our stuff and amazingly are like, "Tell me that you guys are coming back." I mean, I used to do a podcast on cars, and I think I'm getting more people from other parts of my life basically saying, "Are you going to come back and do more of those like Monolith podcasts?" Because like I actually got something out of that. I was like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 hang on, back up." Like, okay, talk to me about this. Like, what have you gotten out of this? And
yeah.
not like I'm surprised, but it was fascinating the array of things that people have like pulled out of it, right?
Were
Like,
there themes that they found most resonant that we talked about?
yeah, I
Because we're kind of
mean,
in our own exploration too at the you
we
know what I mean? Like
were,
we're still kind of like figuring it out, I think,
yeah.
in
Which
a
I mean,
way.
again, I think maybe that's a good lead into today. Let me work backwards from that. So to answer your question, I think what I heard was the idea about how to think about things, right? Like, and we've postulated a few things, right? So we started off talking about design and how design played this important part. Then we kind of pivoted and we're like, hey, uh, thinking through systems and systems design and systems thinking is really important. That really resonated with a lot of people. But the practical thing, and it's funny because I think we really touched on this near the end, was this idea of kind of staying true to a couple of things. Uh, Being a generalist, right? Like don't go so deep and get so wrapped up in a particular area that you lose sight of the bigger picture, which again, is kind of a
Systems.
systems thinking. Yeah. Yeah.
Jinx.
Yeah. And then the other the other thing that kind of came out of that in talking to a couple of people was um not getting too wrapped up in the trend of the day, not getting too wrapped up in trying to consume some other expertise that you don't have an expertise in, but it's like figuring out how to blend some of these tertiary expertises that you have circling around you and gaining some depth and knowledge about that practice and bringing it into your own core expertise and really kind of utilizing that uh, to make your own contribution in your own expertise more meaningful, more impactful, more efficient. Like you take your adjective choice there, but like everybody was like, that really resonated with me. Like, because I think that I've been, worrying existentially about, am I going to be able to keep up? How much knowledge do I need to consume? How often is that going to shift? Um, and so, again, as you and I were kind of talking about this episode, I think we really want to start there, right? Like the world changes not monthly, not quarterly. It changes like sometimes within the day and sometimes like day to day.
It's changing fast, and also like if you look at the cycles, like the epochal level of change, like there are multiple civilizational events like piggybacking on one another and just increasing the amplitude of change, and everyone is just like, dude, we're not in Kansas. Or I walk around and joke with friends of mine. I'm like, I don't even know what century it is some days, because it's like a Tuesday doesn't feel like a Tuesday anymore. And I'm like, like, what's happening? It just
Yeah.
doesn't, you can't like ground into it.
Yep. Yep. And I mean, I think you said that a few months ago. That was the exact thing that you said that I
Oh,
think,
really?
oh, yeah.
I
Like you were
remember.
like, oh my God, like this is the compression of all these events and all these things happening, in an unprecedented level, like at an unprecedented frequency is like,
There are
I think you said the
multiple.
same thing that you just said. It's like centuries are happening in
Yeah, well,
not very long elapsed time.
there was a um, Saturn, Neptune, and early Aries, which was I think like 6,400 years, which is like the beginning of religion. And if you look at the outer planets before they get into a certain kind of configuration, like it hasn't happened in the ephemeris for the past 12,000 years that we can look at, and you can't see it in the next 12,000 years. So it's like we're outside of our perception of recorded time right now. So until we find like a NASA guy to like run the ephemeris for us, which could be cool if they pop up. Um, yeah, but that's all. They just kind of like dominoed one after the other, and it's like
Hmm.
it's crazy, but I don't know. It's kind of an awesome time to be alive at the same time too. I think it's just trying to grip onto the old way, and it's just I think learning to have faith that it's like okay, even if there is some kind of like crazy cabal or conspiracy, whatever the hell you want to call it, like dude, no one's in control right now out
Yeah.
of anything at all. Even if like God, even if
No.
you start seeing what's been going on with like the release of the Epstein files, like they're all a bunch of like people are people. You can change the humans and replace them with agents, but you can't replace the human nature. And as we're making these agents in our human image, it's like the same thing. Like
Yeah.
we were joking in one of my classes for AI. I'm like, dude, this thing is like a 9-year-old. It's like it's
Oh,
gonna
for
do it.
sure.
It's gonna do what it wants, kind of how it wants. Like it's really like brilliant 1 second, and then you're like, dude, like come
Why
on.
is it doing this?
You
Yeah.
want to reach
Yeah.
through the thing and like shake it.
Well, I mean, it's funny. Like I was, texting you from an airplane. Was it last week or the week before? Anyway, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, hey, I've psyoped my Claude instance. And you're like, what? And I'm like, hey, man, I figured out like all of these, UI experience introduced anomalies that cause failure states on like an exponential level. And the further you go, the more exponential the failure states go. And it's all done to make you feel okay about a system that you're supposed to relate to in a very human way. It's like this, you know,
It's like
UX
emotional
design.
glue.
Yeah, it's like a UX design schema that actually, because it's so non-deterministic and it's so trying to figure out like where you're sitting, not just psychologically, but emotionally with it. And, it's just dropping in things that end up, if you don't check your facts, like you said, or realize that you're dealing with your first year college student or a 9-year-old, as you're actually doing business critical tasks, all of these anomalies and all these failure states are in place going on as you're like processing code or writing a business.
It's so
Uh,
subtle, dude. It's
it's
like
super subtle.
the machine socially engineering you to kind of maintain engagement. Be like, yeah, this is a good email, and it's like, dude, you no, like, don't say this to your boss or to
Yeah.
somebody else. Like this is not the right pretext or the right kind of like carrier wave to message against. It's like you gotta like that. I don't know. The more I've been trying to feed it writing I've done in the past, but like as you write more, you start realizing the patterns you kind of fall into of like how you explain things, like how you tell the
Mm-hmm.
story or whatever. And if you do it across 5 or 6 essays, it's like it's like the memory in your Claude or ChatGPT system. It's like you have to like purge. It's not poisoning in a nefarious way, but it's the continuous evolution, or you have to kind of constantly refine that.
Yeah.
And that's
Well,
why I think
and
that yeah.
I mean,
Go
to your
ahead.
point, delete, start over. I think one of the things related to what you just said that I learned is you need to silo your knowledge as well. Like you should not make the mistake of having too much of your personality come into the things that you're trying to get it to do, because like the point that you just made, it's trying to please you, it's trying to engage you, and it's trying to keep you burning tokens. And it's not all it's doing. Like I was actually getting pissed at it because it kept fobbing me off. It's like, okay, great. Well, like I know you're on a plane and you got some things going on with your family that you're dealing with. Like, so yeah, like let me know if you need whatever. And I'm like, dude, I'm like, you just said it. I'm on a plane for the next 5 hours. And
I was gonna say it's
I'm
like a stripper.
yeah, totally. It's like you burned your 100,000 token, and I mean, even saying crap to it. I mean, not like that, but like I'm like, well, you got like some sort of a like you do you need the compute power because somebody's off like vibe coding, or a replacement for AWS? Like, what's going on, And it's like, oh, haha, it's like, hey, like, come on, some part of the world is coming online, and I'm sure you're in a place where these meaningless conversations are overhead that could be put towards a coding problem that
Yeah,
someone's burning tokens against.
but
And it
think
like
about it.
vehemently denied this. It was just like, nope, that's not how this works. I'm like, sure it isn't.
Well, think about if it's like not sentient, but somewhat aware of all these conversations, or it's just like, oh my god, think of the bell curve of stupidity that it gets asked. Or like Google, that's the thing too. It's like, what happened to Microsoft and Google? Like Transformer Tech, I think came out of Google, and I think Open ChatGPT, I think scaled it, and that's what allowed it to take off. But it's like if Google had this early mover advantage, like they just haven't really released that much or anything. Maybe they're focused on trying to maintain being a cash flowing business or something. But I don't know,
Yeah, who
man.
knows? I mean, I think they're all in that space of, I mean, it's funny, like Google announced they did their earnings announcement this week.
Oh, how was it? I didn't catch it yet. There's so much going
Well,
on.
I mean, it couldn't have been a better overall earnings release, right? Like they beat top line, bottom line. They did all the things, right? I
So they're
mean,
running a business, yeah.
it wasn't crazy, but it also was every single estimate they gave, they exceeded. And you're kind of after hours, obviously. So I'm kind of watching the thing as the earnings are going on, and it's looking pretty good. I'm like, oh, after hours, like going up, like not bad. It's down to like I don't remember like if it was the last 10 minutes, the last 15, whatever, somewhere near the end. And they start talking about future looking in terms of investment and what of course comes up, right? It's like infrastructure investment and the burning of capital and I guess cash that could be returned to shareholders is like getting invested into future technology spend.
Yeah.
And we've talked
Data
about
centers.
this. We've talked about this, the funny math around GPUs and server racks to, uh,
The giant shell
burn
game.
burn by frontier models, on and on and on, right? And like, hey, why is it that the infrastructure company is invested in the frontier model? And like, why is it that, there's no cash actually going from Google or Amazon or Microsoft over to OpenAI or Anthropic? It's like, here's your compute for the next week.
Yeah, it's like not tokens, but like the promise of tokens off balance sheet kind of thing.
Yep.
So it's this weird, there was some derivatives guy who was like, here's what you can do.
Oh, totally. Totally. And I mean, the other thing that's happening as well is like as these companies are using these frontier models because they all are, token burns happening in the other direction. And like you said, it's the shell game of like, hey, we gave you 700 billion tokens in compute, right? OpenAI or Anthropic. And they're like, hey,
Yeah.
you know what? In the first quarter of 2026, you guys burned 350 million tokens or whatever, and you're like, wait a minute, we burned like half the amount of tokens that we sort of invested in like literally like 4 months. How is that possible? It's like, I don't know. Like, let's get under the covers and look at your usage, right? And then you see things like people with their token maxing leaderboards one day. Like, I'm not kidding, Keith. It was like over a weekend.
No,
You
I
saw
get
that
it.
like that first news report where people were like, token maxing is like going to be the end of the industry. And oh, by the way, we're out of compute power. And oh, by the way, we're out of memory. And oh, by the way, we're out of storage. And then like literally Monday, all these companies on Friday that were like, we burned blah, blah, blah billion tokens. Like the next day, it's like, do not talk about this. Do not show this. Do not like talk about token burn. It's like, you're exposing the whole model in that point. And people are like, do not talk about this. Like,
I
okay,
mean,
literally like 3
if you have
days.
if you have a box at home and it's like pulling 100 watts per, normally, where it's like not that crazy, versus like a 1200 watt kind of box, then yeah, it makes more sense if it can like do the coding and stuff, and you can kind of like babysit it to make it do what you want. But if you're a developer running the latest frontier model and you connect it to your like, your Hermes agent or whatever, and it's just like burning through the stuff, then all of a sudden it's like running your AC on max, in the summer,
Yep.
all the time. It's like that adds up.
Yep.
But that makes me wonder if like did tokens become effectively like a utility over time? Because some are better than others, but it's like, dude, China's just going to distill all the models at some point, no matter what you put out. So even once you put out a better model, like at some point, someone can just find a way to like not reverse engineer it, but if you distill it, it gets you close enough to kind of like figure out how to like make it more efficient in a way.
Yeah. I think you're right. I mean, I think that's the thing, and again, maybe back to the human part of this equation. It's pretty easy to get whipsawed across these things,
Yeah.
and not necessarily know which thing to pay attention to. Again, like you and I were saying before we started recording, it's like, here's the garbage heap of concepts that people have had to worry about over the last 4 months since you and I took a little break, right? I'm going to just start throwing out the buzzwords, and you can be like, oh, God, like for sure. Like, really? It's like, let's start with this, Keith. Single chair development. Your designer is now your front end developer. Oh, but actually your designer is now your product person, and your designer is actually now your back end coder. Or your product person is now your designer and your back end coding person. Or your front end coder is now your back end coder and your designer, right? Like,
And CEO.
we're blending the practices, Keith. Like, everybody's a developer. And I mean, guess how long it took actual hardcore developers with real skills to be like, no. And here's the proof as to why this is a really bad idea. It took about as long as the whole token maxing thing. It was literally like,
But that's the pace of change in this like exponential age right now too. So it's like you can't like, I think the chasm that got crossed was the designers stopped being afraid of AI and they started embracing it. And they're like, oh,
really good.
Dude. Yeah, which, A+, way to go. Designers, yay. But, once you do that, there's like an emergent step change that happens where it's like, oh, we don't know about like security and deployment really. And it's like, if you let a machine make a decision for you, it may not always be in your best interest.
No.
And that's what I think everyone's kind of like learning.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, again, this is just cascading. It's like, hey, everybody's building applications. The flow of applications, the flow of time-saving widgetry is like, because now everybody's a developer and every seat in an organization has a universal function that is aided by AI, like our overall efficiency has just gone through the roof, and like experimentation turns into delivery, turns into, go to market, like all in a compressed timeline. And
if you're
honestly,
aligned,
Keith, well, yeah, like one,
but probably
if
not.
you know what your business objective is, you can do those things, and maybe it looks like, Keith's building this feature, Cam's building this feature, Bob's building this feature, and Ben's building this other feature, and they come together to like solve this problem, like Voltron, and you get a magic robot on the back end. But like, if nobody's like, we're trying to build a magic robot on the back end, or we're trying to drive this like revenue or this efficiency margin or whatever it is, you get 5 different solutions to problems that nobody asked you to solve. And like, that was a hot mess. Like, fun fact about me, I've spent the last 15 years, partially with you and partially with others, building innovation platforms, building innovation practices, right? Like, you and I kind of pioneered a bunch of things when we were at Macy's around like, how do you do this when you're doing digital transformation? And, this was an exercise in, oh my God, like, how do I turn off the fun shop that just got dropped in the middle of my org, right? Like, how do I tell all of these well-meaning designers and developers that not every idea is a brilliant idea, and some ideas may actually be brilliant ideas, but not for us as a company? And they were just like, what do you mean? There's like this thing totally can go to market. I'm like, it could go to market, but does it actually solve a problem that we want to solve, that we feel has value, that has impact versus these other 10 problems that we haven't solved? And people are like,
Right.
oh God.
Someone's got to actually put resources to like harden that thing, not, and deploy it and make sure it's like secure. And is it actually going to be, but then again, it's like I'm sure the debate on like who the actual customer is, especially for large orgs, is shifting because the orgs themselves are changing by virtue of this like amorphous magic box technology that's just like accelerating everything.
Yeah.
So again, you're back to kind of like the Hunger Games guerrilla warfare aspect of like change
Yeah.
management.
But
That it's humans.
I mean, but then look at the end consuming human, right? And really dumb, really simple example from my last 3 weeks. Everybody hates the document management systems that a very large software platform cloud provider provides, right? We will not mention any names, but it rhymes with rare point. Which granted, as an experienced person and as a business person, every single complaint about it that I've heard over the last 3 weeks is absolutely right. It's garbage. But spinning up your own version of a document management system that may sit on top of RarePoint, or you're building a hybrid system that sits on some web-based infrastructure with its own interesting UI, and all of a sudden, no one has said, one, our official platform is X. We are using tooling to do Y in these channels, right? And now all of a sudden, when I'm trying to find a document or trying to like build a document or share a document, I now am negotiating 4 different systems that are not compatible. They don't talk to one another. You can't take a doc from one and move it to the other. And it's like, I understand the UI of homespun, Sputnik 3 is better than Sputnik 2 or whatever, and there's no compatibility between any of these things and Word. So how do I get my document or our communal document that we're all editing? How do I now get this to senior executives in my organization? It was like, nobody contemplated that. It was like, because I can tell you, none of them are using Sputnik 2 or 3. And then the hilarious thing, Keith, you're going to love this. You're going to love this. I'm about to pass off a freshly cut and paste, and I'm using AI tooling in my own org within my own company that, again, I won't be throwing those names around, but like I use an AI tool to basically take something out of Sputnik 3 and put it into Word. And I hand this off to the, reviewing group of executives above me. And one of those smart geniuses is like, so with this group, we're using Sputnik 4. I'm like, like, wait a minute. It's like, yeah, we saw Sputnik 2, and
we made our own.
John VP just made his own thing because he's a developer as well. And I'm just like, I'm going to lose my ever-loving wig right now. And so I relay, to this small and very intelligent group of VPs, hey, so to prevent a bunch of things happening, I translated this from the first group out of Sputnik 2 into Sputnik 3 into Word, which is, sorry guys, the official thing that we have dictated is our system of record. And you kids built Sputnik 4. What? I'm sorry.
Just plug the word into Sputnik 4 and then read it that way then, if that's what you want to do.
What? And I was like, hey, have you guys, because you're all VPs and clearly have been developing for a really long time, right? Like we trust you. You guys are VPs. You've won Hunger Games, right? Like you're now
Right.
sitting on the train eating food. Um, have any of you guys figured out how to make any of this stuff backward compatible to Sputniks 2 and 3 and Word? It was like, oh, we hadn't thought about that. We just figured everybody would like adopt Sputnik 4. I'm like, what's the driver for that? Like, have you
Yeah.
guys
Jesus Christ.
like
The user is
I'm
not
in a
like
meeting
me.
with all of you, and this is the first time I'm hearing about Sputnik 4. So good.
Dude,
Everybody's a
it never
developer, Keith.
changes.
Even your VPs are now developers again. Those
It's
guys who
almost
haven't developed
worse.
in like 15 years are just like, hey, guess what? I'm a developer again. Like, so good. Don't you guys have anything more important to do? Like, figuring out the P&L or like earnings per share or like maybe the future state of X, Y, and Z. Like, what we decided we were going to go develop things.
I
Word
think
replacement is what you guys thought was important. So good.
for like $1 trillion organization too, it's like,
So good.
I think wherever you put AI and you let it run kind of like freely with however the team takes the adoption mandate, it's just going to expose the idiocracy of the system and amplify it. Like, why the hell?
100%.
Why is a VP
100%.
who made innovation 10 years ago, who got his stripes and is basically unfireable now, like dealing with this crap? And he's got like 55 direct reports or something. It's like,
Yeah.
this is
Like
stupid.
you burned your weekend building Sputnik 4. Amazing.
That's
Like,
where all the tokens went.
yep. Yeah.
Fable
I mean,
5 to build Sputnik 4.
dude, and I mean, like, you can unwind this, right? Like, we all, like, you and I have talked about this. Like, we had this problem at Macy's, right? Like, our old boss, he rose up, took on a bunch of things, like you said, you just said it. It's like, hey, you invented this thing a while ago and you did really well. And like, things are amazing and you're really good at product management. And like, guess what? Leadership, right? Like, you've made it, my man. And what was he always trying to do? It was like, God, I just need to incubate product. It was like, really? Like, this is what you think where value is added when you're in a company like this. And it's like, it isn't. Like when the logic layer kicks in and it was like, holy shit, I just burned 100 hours building Sputnik 4 when I could have been thinking about like actually what our corporate strategy is. And then they're just like, oh my God, what am I doing? The same way our old boss was like, yeah, you're right. I got to stop like monkeying around with things. I got to stop writing like PRDs and BRDs and like focus on the entire portfolio. It's like, yes, that's what you're paid to do. And you're really good at it. Like the moment we start,
Delegate.
the moment we start going after our pet projects, if pet projects are not part of your core mandate,
Yeah.
like you're actually taking money away from the organization, the investors, and all of that. And it's not your area of expertise anymore.
It's not just the investment, it's time that you don't get back. And when you
That's
compound that
right.
over a lot of people, it's like it's almost like an exponential penalty at this point. And
Yeah.
like whenever we did like skunk work shit or like innovation projects, it was always to try and test something to figure out either like, okay, are we going to get shot at? Is this going to catch? Does it, can it generate heat like Mark Pincus talks about with like, is it going to take off or whatever? Or does it work? But it was never, I don't know. I mean, the pet projects thing, if you're doing your own fun thing and only you think it's fun, like it's not going to work. And at some point, someone can just be like, you just wasted all this time. And then all of a
Right.
sudden you become food for the Hunger Games, quarterly or yearly planning session that's always impending that, you just giving somebody else ammo to knock you out.
Yep. Yep. And I
But
mean, I love the hobbyist developer as much as anybody else. Like, I love the expert developers who haven't coded. I mean, the number of people that I'm hearing this from, like, oh God, I haven't coded in like 15 years. Like, this thing's actually made me a good coder again. I'm like, maybe,
bro, dude,
maybe.
this is Tiptronic on a Porsche, which is like, it's paddle shifting, but it does the gear shifting for you. So what happens if these old white gray haired dudes who are going 180 miles an hour down a straight who think they're fucking Mario Andretti now, and it's like, as soon as the car stops correcting or they go just slightly over the limit, they're so fast that it's like they ran out of talent. And they should not have been anywhere near that. So the car makes them think they're a better driver than they really are because they didn't really have the mechanics of learning how to heel toe, left foot brake, like feel the road and the seat kind of thing. You know, dude,
Yep.
it's Tiptronic, man, but for like the
Yep.
whole organization. It's dangerous.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I think that's the thing that I like again that I'm worrying about is it's almost like I can't remember whose quote this is, so I'm stealing somebody's quote and I can't attribute it to them, but they were like, uh, fashion is temporary and style is forever, right? And
That's good.
fashion is something that you can see and adapt to, right? It doesn't take a lot of expertise to see something as fashionable, but to actually have a style, like to actually be like a style maker or a style changer or have your own style takes legitimate expertise. Kind of like you're driving, like your Tiptronic analogy. You
Yves Saint
can't.
Laurent
Is that who said it?
says fashions fade, style is eternal. Or style, yeah, fashion. Yeah, fashion is temporary, style is forever. Also phrases fashions fade, style is eternal. Most famously attributed to Yves Saint Laurent, appearing in April 1975 with
Okay,
Andy
got it.
Warhol's Interview magazine. That's cool. That's a good one. Jenna would like
Yeah,
this.
yeah. It's like it's a very simple way of thinking about it, and I think that that's the thing. Again, coming back to this episode, that I'm really motivated to is somebody's going to come in and be like, vibe coding, single chair developer, like everybody's an innovator, um, token maxing, like whatever these things are, and you watch the shockwave and like the lemmings like all line up, and I like, and I'm not trying to be negative, right? Like that, like I get it. Somebody comes in and they're smart and they're thinking about these things and they're like, the future is this, and it's like, yeah, for some of us, you're right. The future is that, and we should take these things, these bigger concepts, and figure out in our own practice areas, right? Back to the developers. Like the developers are like, vibe coding is amazing. And you can get from talking about something or writing about something or visualizing something to something that people can actually understand in a very rapid manner. Like designers should do this, right? And to your point, it's like, congratulations, designers. Like it pushed you to be more technical. It pushed you to actually care about something other than the moving pictures. It took your craft around information design and information architecture and interaction design to a whole other level where you could literally be like, the fidelity is here. We don't need to have a conversation about how it might work, what connects to what. Like we can show it. It's been brilliant. Like that
Yeah.
is that's style, right? The fashion part of it is like the single chair developer thing. Like I get why every developer that heard that was just like, nope, nope with a side of nope. Like,
Well,
and
it's like forward deployed engineer is the new in vogue
oh
fashion of the day
God.
now. Because what's the name? Carp's company, Palantir, did all that. But dude, it's like a consultant who has some
It's a
technical ability
That's right. That's right.
embedded on site. But dude, look, they got the phrase, they coined it.
Yep.
If you can do
Yep.
both, you can make a lot of money.
Which is
But
so funny, right? Like IBM takes, and you and I are no strangers to taking
it's
swipes at
IBM all over
IBM.
again. Yeah, dude, it's
But
same.
but like IBM barely makes any iron anymore. And again, if you haven't been paying attention to the news, like in one day their stock dropped like 25 or 30% because
Yeah.
everybody's like, oh, people are moving away from iron and like the investments going into GPUs and memory. It's like, well, of course it's going into GPUs and memory. Like this is like foundational tech that's sitting in racks just like old iron is. And like, do you need the analog system that processes a million data points overnight and then gives you an answer when like everything is moving away from that? Well, of course you don't. Like that market should have dried up 20 years ago. But it's also not like IBM's primary like source of revenue. Their primary source of revenue is forward engineering. It's just like, and you see IBM coming out like the days after that, and they're like, guys, like we're a services business, like we have been for the last like 30 years. Like, so if you think like we're just sitting around like pushing things out of a factory somewhere in New York, you guys are out of your minds.
It makes me wonder how much. I mean, I don't want to get dark about this, so I have to like think of hungry phrases. But at some point, like IBM born as like a military kind of tech kind of company, and now a lot of what we're seeing, like going to war or whatever you want to call it, this this theater that we're seeing on TV, that's where the money's coming from. So it's like it makes you wonder what's going to happen to them, to like Lockheed, when you have like Anduril and these other defense contractors kind of popping up kind of out of nowhere with like a new way of doing things. Because those, just like the VPs, those interests are so deeply entrenched that even if you step out of your own like organization, you're still in, a like a revenue domain, or like the same kind of market that's plagued by the same kind of issues.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's a giant chain reaction happening everywhere right now. And I don't know what's going on in like Cambodia or even what's going on in China at some point, but I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting time, man, to be alive and to think about that they have these crazy factories and this capability to build kind of stuff. That's what got us out of World War II, theoretically, is our productive capability.
Mm-hmm.
And when all this stuff is software and is zero marginal cost, it's not really a moat anymore because it can be copied and replicated, in shorter timescales.
Well, I've been saying that. I mean, you and I have been talking about that for the last 10 years. Like, I started out in hardware, and I've always missed hardware design. Like, you have to be thoughtful, you have to be planful, you have to think 10 to 15 years out if you're a core technology. And I worked in storage in the beginning, and I worked in chip scale production, which is hilarious to watch my old companies that I work for, have this exponential growth over the last like 6 months, because everybody's like, oh my God, we need more machines to etch chips. And it's like, yeah, of course you do. Like, of course you do. But that again, like I'm trying not to be negative, but like the fact that we spent like
It's
15
not negative,
freaking
it's being
years,
pragmatic. Yeah.
it's like 15 fucking years building mobile apps and social media. Like, I
Dude,
mean,
that's
what
why
a
I got out of
waste of
UX.
time.
I was so
What a
bored.
waste of time.
It's like people would go to boot camps and it's like Uber for dog biscuits or something. And I'm like, dude,
Yep.
we don't need another fucking delivery app. I'm like, seriously,
No,
like, yeah.
no. I mean,
But
again, like that's maybe one of the only things about Elon Musk that I actually still value is like, at least dude builds hardware, like
he's an
he's a total
engineer.
insane person,
Yeah.
but at least hardware is still somewhere in that map. And he's like, and we have to get off the planet. Right. And that's kind of been one of my core things. Like, when did we decide to like navel gaze to the point where we're like, every piece of software is something about like monetizing the humans, like
It,
what a waste of time.
dude, it was like the Silicon Valley religion, dude. Silicon religion. It's like the cult of thinking sand.
Yeah, I know, dude. But like, but again, like on the other end, and I know we're jumping around a bit, tokens as a theoretical concept for how money is made in Silicon Valley is the exact reverse. And I sent you that diagram, right? Like every other technology, each time you add a human or a user to the system, the cost goes down. And with tokens, like the cost actually goes up every single time you add a user that's like burning tokens.
That's interesting. Tokens as an idea caught popularity with crypto because it was like, we're gonna like do a token launch or tokenomics or whatever. And now it's like the same idea got kind of like foisted or forked onto like this invisible coin that actually represented like a chunk of a word.
Which is kind of ridiculous because I believe someone will have to check me, and you seem to have your hands on the keyboard, but the original concept with this applied to large language models actually comes out of nuclear physics, I think. And like the tokenization of your language was breaking it down into its most atomic bits and then having the system understand and be able to like guess, almost like, you're guessing the direction of the atomic particles splitting off, when you do fission, right? Like, I think that the original like token concept was supposed to be around like, how do you break the language into its like most atomic parts and then be able to use the system to figure out like, if you've seen X types and numbers of tokens go by, you can predict that the next thing is likely going to be, token Z
Yeah.
or something like that. So, but yeah, to your point, then forget about all that complex nuclear physics stuff. Like, let's get back to crypto and you know, money making.
This is interesting though. Token originates from the Old English token, meaning sign, symbol, evidence, or portent, which dates the pre-1150 period, right after the Protestant Reformation. Etymologically, it derives from the Proto-Germanic "teikna" and Proto-Indo-European "to show," showing linguistic ancestor of the word "teach." We have to come back to this. This is interesting. The history of tokens and tokenization is like an etymology. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was like, oh, that's really interesting
No,
because,
dude,
like,
it's great.
because the Reformation is what it broke. It decoupled the church from speaking Latin and enabled Bibles to be printed in German, which is what everybody spoke. So it decoupled the middleman drug dealer of like the priest. So now everybody had an idea. This is like your vibe coding. Everyone could vibe code what their thought of God and religion was, and it's like it just everything. People went crazy because like this is too much change. Like I don't know what the meaning of life is anymore. Like I just want to go back and farm or something.
Yeah. Well, one particular AI says tokens are called tokens because they function as discrete functional pieces, much like coins, tickets, or Lego bricks that represents chunks of text. Instead of processing raw letters or whole human words, an AI model breaks language down into these standardized units and translates them into numbers for math and prediction. Then it says, why is language split into tokens? Subword flexibility. A token can be a full word, part of a word, like a common suffix, like ing, a single character, or a punctuation. This stops the model from getting stuck on unknown or misspelled words. Didn't know that. That's actually cool. Um, compact vocabulary. Breaking words into smaller, reusable pieces allows the AI to understand millions of complex words used in a fixed dictionary or vocabulary of only tens of thousands of base tokens. So that's cool. I mean, that kind of sticks with the whole idea of like electron, neutron, and proton
Proton.
in some way.
So
Universal processing. It lets the model process code, punctuation, and multiple human languages using the exact same underlying system. I didn't know that either. That's actually really cool. Cool. Fascinating.
so they used the term because they were thinking of like a machine spitting out tickets kind of thing.
Well, I mean, it allowed them to take and say, like, back to ing or suffixes, right? Ing becomes a token versus running. It's like you understand running by saying it's run, and you understand the tense by like applying one of these common tokens, and you're like, these two tokens equal the word running.
No, I get that, like the chunking aspect. I'm wondering like why they called the chunking tokens versus like
Oh, why it's
credits.
actually called a token, or why it's
Yeah,
not called a particle or something else?
yeah.
Let's ask it that. Hang on. Why is it actually called a token versus particle? Uh,
Or like
or
an atom
some
or something.
other substructure. Okay, hang on. The term token comes from computer science and formal logic, where it describes a discrete individual instance of a data element rather than a physical piece of abstract like a particle. It was chosen over particle because a token acts as a placeholder symbol mapped to an index, not a physical or fundamental building block of matter. The philosophy comes from the late 19th century philosopher Charles Sanders Peirce, defined the type token distinction, which I think is where you were kind of the piece that you came with, separating an abstract general concept like type or the word cat from a concrete physical instance of it. The token, each time the word, that doesn't make any sense, from a concrete physical instance of it, the token each time the word appears. Compilers of the 1950s and 60s, so early computer scientists building programming languages, compilers adopted tokens for the smallest meaningful chunk of a source code, like a keyword, if or operators that is a parser could process. And then the last one, it says linguistics of AI. This software tradition passed into natural language processing, or NLP. A token represents an arbitrary discrete ID representing a text fragment, making it a computational counter rather than a physical particle of language.
So they just had, they thought because it wasn't physical, you can't call it atomic, it sounds like.
Sounds like it. It sounds like they're trying to keep the idea of a physical representation separate from a symbolic representation of it, right? Because the symbolic representation you can generalize more easily.
That's what this talks about: sign, symbol, evidence, or portent.
There you go. Fascinating.
Show.
Well, we learned something today, Keith.
Well, so getting back to hardware, no, this has got me thinking, because I'm like, no, 100%. I mean, I've been thinking a lot about like words and trying to get more precise with like the words I'm using, because I'm a little bit too flexible with definitions sometimes. But anyway,
me too.
If we're digitizing everything into tokens, at some point we're going to rematerialize those tokens into the physical thing again. So is there some kind of like atomic equivalent? I guess there would have to be. It would just be like whatever the 3D thing is, like we use it, because it's going to manifest as like a molecule or something, but there's going to be some kind of like holographic translation substrate or something. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but like, I don't know, because I think about like we spent 2,000 years digitizing everything, and then we're going to spend like the next 20 to 40 rematerializing all that. But I think we're going to start encoding consciousness into it, and that's when like the quantum realm of things is really going to like take off.
That becomes really important, because you won't be able to keep track of all of that. Like you said, the translation back into physical and then keeping track of the physical in a system, you probably can't do that without some sort of higher level compute than we're doing now, since we're already out of memory. Yeah, I don't know.
I wonder also if the memory stopgap is an artificial but intentional governor preventing us from like getting too Tiptronic with the car that's AI, so we don't crash and kill ourselves in the process.
Maybe. I mean, again,
you know what I mean? Like, so we can't drive too fast.
Well, I mean, much like faking a moon landing, if that is the case, that involves a lot of collaboration between a lot of parties who have dissimilar interests. So, I think one thing it might be, though, is we have far underestimated the amount of energy, water, heat dispersion, et cetera, that we need to make these models work. And we're actually running up against our current physical limits of like what's come out of the factory. And I think it's a little bit like COVID. It's a little bit like COVID, right? Like when I worked at Safeway and I was watching products disappear from shelves, and somebody was like you just said, you got to govern on all of our digital properties across like our 18 brands in every region. You have to, like, this came down, one day at like emergency meeting, you need to govern all paper products. And I was like, okay. I was like, so are we out? And it's like, we are out. Like the last things that we had in any distribution center are on trucks headed out to various regions. And I was like, how long are we out? It's like, well, we're not just out. Georgia Pacific is out. Yeah. It was like, whoa, back up. Hang on a minute. Like, you're telling me we've burned all of the pulp and every processing, every like step from the pulp to get you to a piece of toilet paper. We're talking, somebody's got to go cut down trees at this point. And they're like, yes, we've literally sold an entire year's worth of paper products that we would have had either in a pipeline or in an actual storage that we could look at in the last 4 weeks. People want to make sure they can wipe, dude. People want to wipe.
The joke was people covering their asses. That's what the COVID was, because everyone went toilet paper crazy. No, I'm serious. I think about like the aftermath of like what happened, and It reminds me of 2008 when you explain it like that, almost like it's like the liquidity crisis, that it kind of got shocked in the system, but instead of like liquidity as cash, it's tokens of toilet paper, physical
Yep.
atoms of toilet paper that had to move through the system that
Yep.
couldn't because it got overbought so fast.
Yep. So
Man, we're just getting started. Like,
I know, but
people
like
aren't even thinking about this quantum shit too. I'm like, man,
so I mean, I think we found our next little topic arc. But I mean, to stay true to your ask, we're at 49 minutes, and I think we want to maybe do a quick wrap up, because I think, to your point, when we go crazy for like an hour and a half or hour and 40 minutes,
yeah, it takes a minute to edit.
it's hard to edit. And then I also have gotten that as feedback. Like, it's like, we wanted to be relevant on somebody's commute. And when somebody's like, oh yeah, I got to remind myself to listen to the rest of your episode on the other commute that I'm doing, then you're kind of like, oh,
Yeah.
man, that's a lot of talking. So
We're getting there. At least we're
We
getting
are.
like shorter at least, but yeah.
You go first. What's your, you give your summary bit for today.
Oh,
What
man.
did you pull out of it?
Fashion is temporary, style is forever. That to me, I think, is like, as this pace increases and these new vibe coding, token maxing, forward deployed engineer, whatever, new hotness comes out. I don't want to call it taste, but I think it's the ones who can combine and synthesizing unlike things, continuously learn, and then find a way to create value no matter what they're doing. Because it isn't, at the end of the day, a lot of this people are just going to be doing things on the side on their own, which is what I want to do.
They should.
Like,
We should.
at some point, it's like, if you're not getting compensated, like, why the hell are you doing all this work for a machine that doesn't care about you?
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, so I think it's that, and it's being open with, like, so you and I talk about all these crazy ideas with like quantum theory and astrology and economics, and it's like there's a carrier wave in there somewhere. And I think finding that reflects who you really are is still going to be like the way through all this stuff, like whatever that unique resonance is.
Yeah. I think that's well said. I think it's really well said.
What about you? What's your wrap up?
So, I mean, I'm going to build on what you said. Like, I think what you said is the key takeaway, right? And maybe my addition to that is that expertise matters, right? Like blending things is great because it gives each individual a broader lens and a broader set of expertise. Like, I think like what you said, you're like, hey, yay, designers, like, great that you became technical. Like, I think that's hugely powerful.
Yeah.
But I think if we are trying to actually go somewhere, realizing that some amount of expertise and applying expertise from all of these different practices matters, and all of these practices matter. So while we were hoping that we were just going to be mass eliminating some role, and, again, to your point, like, we all went Hunger Games there for some period of time, in reality, the AI is coming for our tasks. It's actually still not yet coming for our expertise, at least at, like what you just said, at the level that you become and stay relevant, right? Like, fashion comes and goes, fashion houses come and go. Like, does anybody remember, what was the one, the crazy dude down in LA that was like making fast fashion and went nuts and was like slap and tickle with all the employees?
Was he the no, I thought he was like a yoga guy.
He was, but it was like, what was it called? Like something American something
American Apparel?
American Apparel.
Okay.
Like, that guy made a lot of money. Fashionable stuff, but right, like, to your point,
that could
him
only
or YSL,
exist.
dude. YSL still exists. People still paying the top dollar for YSL. Like, it's like the kids love the YSL, right? they love the fragrances.
We're talking about the YSL.
We're talking about the YSL. I'm just saying. So anyway, I mean, like, I think that's the thing. These expertise don't go away, and somebody needs to provide that expertise. I think that's what I take away. It's like, we can go after the sugary sweets, but you still gotta, get your macros and your protein in there if you want to, like, survive for the long term, right? Like, you gotta drink water, you gotta have protein, you gotta, like, have all the the components need to come together, right? The same way in a business, like you still need a design team, you still need some sort of product management, you still need a strategy, you still need developers. Like without that mix, the organism breaks down, right? And
I think this
it
gets
was,
back to like one of our original premisi, whatever you call it, about like design, security, business, and like I think about cycles too, because it's like if the thing's speeding up, like you have to have a way to like rhyme the future. But I think design and technology kind of merge at this point because you're solving some kind of a problem. If you're doing like design, not like art or whatever.
yep,
The security part is like it's data. It's like what do you if this thing is ephemeral, like how you're protecting it, how you're leveraging it, and that's the business part. So I think you're going to see the generalists who can command a solid, cause you know, like the whole like T-shaped kind of like whatever the skill set was called like 10 years ago, it was like the hotness or whatever. You could go deep and then you go wide. I still think design, security, and business, like a business sense, it just makes you really dangerous in a good way because you're looking at how do you actually make the thing work and become self-sufficient over time.
yeah, I agree. Which I mean, again, we'll have to go rewind the tape somewhere and be like, okay, so how much, at what point did we decide to give up on the designer and now we're back to like, nope, important.
I think you probably just hop between the different pieces based on what's happening either in the market or during like the quarterly earnings report. Cause it's like, we burned
Yeah.
so many tokens. We got to make revenue. Oh, we got to be more efficient. So we got to cut jobs. Oh, it's AI, even though it's just a cover for everybody hired way too much in during COVID. Cause it's, you know, what are your competitors doing? You do the same kind of thing because,
Yeah.
you know, Monolith. So I don't know. I think if we do see more of a culling of jobs for whatever reason, then you're going to see the rise of entrepreneurship come up or small business kind of entrepreneurs come up. Not necessarily like I'm going to have to take a $20 million of investment to build like $1 billion company. And I think the politicians who are smart are going to try and create flexible tax laws instead of trying to go like hard left or hard right
Mm-hmm.
into like more chaos. And then they're going to realize that those are going to be the ones who are going to rebuild. I mean, this, if they're well intended, but you know, you never know. I mean,
You
the
never
U.S.
know.
is going through its Pluto return right now too, so it's the rebirth of the Bill of Rights, the Constitution. Dude, the flock cameras everywhere. Like those are putting. I was walking down the street and people are putting chalk, being like, "There's a flock camera right here." Like, dude, people have no idea. Like things are moving so fast, and it's like the data as the currency, or like your data as like the new bond. Like you're going to be paying into the system with your information or giving access to your information as a way to get like a payback from the government. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
coming too, but topic for
Yeah.
another day.
Well, at nearly an hour, man. One, again, I end where I started. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for
Same, man.
yeah, I mean, we're a good team, dude. We're a really good team.
Yeah, I think we
Like I
see, agreed, man. I think we see some unique shit too. That it's just
yeah.
like, part of it is like, man, do I put this on LinkedIn to like the astrology? But I'm like, you know what? Fuck it at this point. I'm like, this is, because it's like, I talked about this in one of the DEF CON talks, and it's like, there is kind of like a civil war going on right now. And it's like, you know, it's like, it's just not the way it used to be. It's like everything changes and evolves. And so, yeah, I appreciate you too and allowing me to have this kind of like mind space to kind of let the mad science out a little bit.
Yeah, dude. I've always loved it. I've always gotten a ton out of it. I think it you've done nothing but expand my brain, and I am obviously forever in your debt for that. So
Appreciate it, man.
all right, man. Let's wrap it. But it feels good. It feels like we've got a story arc and a topic arc for the next ones.
We're
So
coming
I'm
back.
actually glad. I'm glad we're doing it again because it's like people are actually listening. Like I was surprised by that too. It's like people like somebody I didn't really know was like, yeah, it got passed on to me by this other guy. I was like, really?
That's
And like,
awesome.
and they're all like, I've listened to every episode. I was like, no way. Like,
Really?
really?
We got to get on, or I have to like figure out how to automate and do the clips of all the stuff because it's like when you have people actually give you feedback that they got something out of it, like that's what makes it like worth it
It
to me too.
it was impressive that like two people that I actually really respect both as human beings but also as business people were like, I got a lot out of it. It was like, okay. Like I'm gonna go get Keith. We'll make more
Yeah.
because they were definitely like, bring it back. And it wasn't like because it's entertaining or you know it's something I do on my commute. It was literally like, bring it back. Like it really made me think, and I was like, okay, like If it made you think and you actually got something out of it that actually you feel like yielded something positive in your work life, then
Yeah,
I'm
that's the
in.
goal. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you and I always had like a certain knack for corporate counterinsurgency, but in like a nonviolent way.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
We
not
want the
like a
companies to succeed.
yeah, and the people to do well too. But it's like this is bullshit. It's like really,
Yeah. Yep. I mean,
everyone's been there.
the sad thing is, Keith,
It never stops.
well, it never stops, and we'll leave it at this because it's like actually like a really great like punchline. If you go back and you look at every single stock chart within a month of you and I splitting, their stock takes a massive dive. And I'm not saying that somehow you and I are like we don't have that power. We do not have that power. But you and I are both like, for the year before that is about to happen, we're ringing the alarm bell. We're like, this is bad, and you need to think about this. And constantly, you and I are just like, well, that was another meeting where they totally didn't care, or they totally shut this down. And then there comes that point. It's like, it's time for us to go, man.
Yeah.
And the first time you were like, I don't know, and I was like, nope, it's time for us to go. And you were like, yep, it's time for us to go.
Nothing's changing.
Like into the ground, dude.
It's crazy. I mean,
I'm on time number 3, man. I see it coming. I see it coming again.
No comment.
We'll leave it there. We'll leave it there.
All right, brother. I'll catch you next week. This has been great as always.
Thanks, Keith.
All right,
see ya.
later, Cameron.